You are a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. A Monday following a pretty good spring game, I would say. I'm excited. I got a whole plethora of notes, and I've known for doing this on other shows, so I'll do it here. These are legit 8 pages, not full notebook pages, but legit, if you can see me on YouTube, my pages of notes from the spring game. So there's not a page wasted. I almost had to go to the cardboard in the back. So lots to talk about today, lots to dive into. I can see T. Farley. He's smiling, probably laughing at me, and that's okay. All right, I like to come over-prepared rather than under-ready. All right, so I want to bring on my first guest. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about quarterbacks, running backs, spring game. We're going to talk about Frank Solich. We're going to talk about XFL kickoff, which we ran on Saturday as well, which I thought was interesting and intriguing. And at first, I did not like, but then once I thought about it, it made a little bit more sense to me. But let's dive in to one of the best to ever wear the N, the best to ever don a black shirt. My first guest, Mr. Terrell Farley. How you doing, my friend?
How you doing, buddy? I'm doing great, man.
Hey, so you've got your own show on right before me, you and V-Jack. Everybody check it out. If you've never checked that show out, they do a phenomenal job. I wanted to have T. Farley on today, and Vershawn's going to join me next week to specifically talk about tight ends. He might know a thing or two about tight end play. Terrell Farley might know a thing or two about being a linebacker, because I was intrigued by what you saw from the defense on Saturday, specifically the linebacker play. What stood out to you both as a strength and something that needs to be worked on by these linebackers in this new 3-3-5 scheme?
Well, the first thing I really loved MJ Sherman. I think that was an excellent pickup. I think he's one of the true leaders out there, just to come from another school in the beginning of spring. Secondly, I would like to see more blitzing linebackers. We got to get a smaller guy, more like a my size guy that can really get in there, that can really get out to the quarterback. They look great. They ran to the ball great. They tackled great. I would like to see better linebacker drops. I would like to see more just movement, disguises, and things like that. Like I said, I'm very excited for the young guys who coming from Oklahoma this year. Maybe we can get him and teach him just a couple of rows and blitzes and stuff to get him in there. But overall, I was impressed by the way the linebackers play, especially MJ Sherman.
Now, you talk about more blitzes. So I'll be honest with you, I tend to focus on the big boys up front, just a smidge, no particular reason for that. But from the linebacker's perspective, it looked to me like there was a lot of cross dogs, blitzes where they're crossing the center's face and a second linebacker's coming off the initial linebacker's butt, crossing the cross dog. You know what it is. Talk to me about what particular blitzes you'd like to see more of. Is it more edge blitzes, more where the defensive end is doing a long stick, which means he's going from the C gap all the way to the A gap, a longer stunt, long stick, hence the name. And you got two backers coming off the B and the C gap outside of them. Like, what would you like to see more of when it comes to blitz packages for the backers?
Well, more. I'm really I like A gap blitzers. You know, A gap blitzers are. You know, they need to do more of that. Like you said, the cross with the defensive end and the linebackers. It's a lot of things they can do. You know, it's all about timing. We still know that the defense is quite young and quite not. You know, too many plays wasn't put in for them to actually blitz like they wanted to blitz, because you're still learning the 3-3-5 now. Now it's summertime. Now it's time you work on more than just your base defense. Now Now, when it comes to blitzing, you want the linebackers to come from everywhere. That's my motto. And you got to have a great defensive end. Now, if I had a defensive end like Adam Carriker, which I did have in Grant Wistrom and Jared Thomas, those guys was able to take blockers with them and leave me to the outside by myself. And most of the time, I can get over a running back or a fullback that's blitzing. Now, the thing is, you got to have great defensive line play.
Dude, Jared, Grant, two of the best to ever do it. That is absolutely not a secret. Love shouting those guys out, though. Something else you mentioned with the linebacker drops. Now, this might surprise you, T. Farley. I didn't do a whole lot of dropping in my day, so I'm not quite an expert on such things. Okay, random funny side story. My son's doing spring football for the first time ever. It's 9v9. It's two-hand touch, half pads. We can just discuss on another day whether that's worth its time, but he's having fun. And he got put at linebacker. Admittedly, he's probably not a linebacker, but he's having fun. So I'm trying to teach him read steps, something I've seen a million times in my life, never done. I'm supposed to explode off the ball as a D lineman. So he's out there trying to do read steps. And then he's trying to disguise his blitzes, and he's trying to hide his blitzes and blitz. So talk to me about, something as simple as a read step, something as simple, I don't want to say simple, but what you'd like to see improved in their drops, because we talked about blitzes. I want to talk to you about their drops and what you'd like to see improved there.
Well, I would like to see not just going for the fake handoff that fools them a lot and get them caught up, and then it delays their drop. So what you need to do is just hesitate for a second, and you can and being a linebacker, you can see that the play goes fast, but not fast enough for you to get your drop, and you got to put a hand on that inside receiver that's running down the field. Now, if we get a hand on that receiver, that helps that cornerback out or that inside slot position that covers that, and it does a lot for you to put a hand on them. Now, the thing is, with your drops are easy though. Drops are either you're going to do a flat to curl to flat, curl to hooks. It's all the same, and you just got to play what's the strong side of the field.
So for those who may or may not know, I'm suddenly an expert in drops. I'm not, but the flats are more to the sideline, hook to the curls, a little bit more to the hashes, and if you're the middle backer, the middle of the field. So that's kind of what those various things mean. Now, I'm curious, okay, and one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on, I understand fairly well the differences between a 3-4 linebacker and 4-3. A lot of times in the 3-4, the D linemen are eating up blockers, and the outside backers are your edge rushers a lot of times, or they're looking like they're going to come and they're dropping. But the linebackers are designed to run around and make plays. In the 4-3, it's usually more attacking with the D linemen. So my question is, in the 3-3-5, what's the biggest difference in the 3-3-5 for a linebacker versus a 4-3 or a 3-4?
I think the difference between the 3-3-5 linebackers and the original 4-3 or 3-4, that those guys got to be big, like a MJ Sherman type, but they gotta run with it. I watched a lot of TCU in the national championship game, and those guys they had was big guys, but they was big guys that can run. I don't think the 3-3-5 is built for a small Terrell Farley type linebacker or Levant David type, unless you're putting Levant probably at middle, which he is now. But back in college, I don't think he would have been great for a 3-3-5. Now, the thing is, those big guys got to be able to run, got to be able to hold their own on the outside, because most of the time they're going to keep containment during if you get that DN slammed in real hard, just to keep them honest and make them come through that gap.
Now, one last question for you, and I promise it's not a loaded question, because if somebody asked me, would I rather play in a 4-3 or 3-4 or 3-3-5 as an end, I'm going to say 4-3. That doesn't mean I'm bashing the current 3-3-5 defense. I'm just talking about what might be more fun, okay? Yeah. So if you could choose 3-4, 4-3, 3-3-5, what do you think? This is my last question for you. What do you think would be more fun for Terrell Farley to play in?
Well, obviously, I'm going to pick the 4-3 because Charlie McBride made it fun for me. And plus the defensive lineman that I played with, nobody touched me. So, of course, I'm going to be a 4-3 guy because I had a great defensive line and nobody never touched me. So I'm going to stick with the 4-3.
I would imagine if you're like a rover type or somebody like that, the 3-3-5 would be a lot of fun just because you get a blitz, you get a cover, you get a disguise, you get to do all sorts of different things. But hey, do me a favor, T. Farley. Let the people know, in case they don't already, when and where can they listen to you and Vershawn every day here on The Ticket so they can check out your good stuff?
All right, we got the fastest 2 hours on radio. We're on from 10 to 12 at 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time, and thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you, big guy. Always my pleasure.
I want to give a shout out real quick to GE Landscape and Supply in Lincoln. That got real close on YouTube. You can see all my whiskers. All right. GE Landscape and Supply in Lincoln sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money by anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. They deliver anywhere, and if you mention you heard this on 93.7 The Ticket, they'll deliver in town for free through the month of April. Almost out of April. Take advantage of that before it's gone. Some restrictions apply. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. All right, I got a question here. The Garbologist says, Adam, do you encourage your linemen or other players to grunt, yell, or scream when hitting or blocking for extra power or intimidation factor? Did you or anyone you played with in college or the NFL do anything like that? All right, the first part of your question, do I encourage it? Like any of my teammates that I played with or kids that I coach now, I feel like you're asking both those things. No, I never encouraged it. For a guy like me, so my first ever sack, okay, well, as a sophomore, as a freshman, I was like, oh my God, did I just sacked Joel Klatt? I can't believe it. And I just ran off the field because I didn't know what to do. But as my first sack as a sophomore, I think it was Western Illinois. I think Maine was my junior year. I can't remember for sure. I celebrated so much and I was so exhausted afterwards. I was like, I'm never celebrating that much again. That's why the Bones is a great celebration. It's a great tradition. It's a great celebration, and it's not exhausting throwing the Bones. So I never tell players to do anything that might exert any more energy that they might want to. And when you're a big guy, conserving energy is important. When you're a smaller guy, maybe you don't have to worry about that quite as much. But I'm never going to tell a guy to grunt or not grunt or do any of that type of stuff, whether it's a teammate or somebody else. I just want them to be themselves. A lot of times, if you're going hard, it's just going to come out. To this day, when I'm lifting in a weight room and I start to make certain noises that I used to make back when I used to lift harder than I do now, people look at me funny, and I'm not rude, but I'm kind of unapologetic about it too. I'm just, whatever happens. I absolutely, second part of your question, did anyone I ever played with in college or the NFL do anything like that? Absolutely. There were certain guys who would grunt and who would make noise. Usually O-linemen. They're all O-linemen that are popping into my head right now. Richie Incognito was one. Nate Colterman was another guy. There were absolutely guys that would grunt and try to make noise and try to intimidate. I don't know that it was about getting more power out. I think that's just how they played, and that's how they tried to get in your head a little bit. Random side note, I think I was like a freshman in high school, and I was trying to bench press 225, and I just couldn't get it. And there was a senior, Scott Swenson, who had been lifting for years. And he goes, Adam, you're breathing wrong while you're doing the bench. I was like, breathing wrong? Like what? There's a certain way to breathe? He goes, yeah. As the bar is lowering, you got to be in control of it. Don't be out of control. You're breathing in, and then as you go to push away to do the actual bench press, then you breathe out real quick. As I knocked the camera here. And it was amazing. I did it. I slowly breathed in, as I went to push the bar away on the bench press, I breathed out real quick, and it worked. And at the bar, I was able to get, it's not like it flew off my chest all of a sudden, but I was actually able to get something I hadn't been able to get prior to that. Now, like I said, I've got 8,942,422 notes here. I think I rounded down on that. So I'm going to try to get through them here. This hour is going to fly by fast, so don't go anywhere. All right. To start off, the first thing that stood out to me was the XFL kickoff, which is where the kickoff team's already down the field 5 yards from the kick return team, and nobody can move until the kick returner touches the ball. At first, I was like, I thought we were playing football. What is this? And then someone much smarter than me was standing next to me. He said, if you think about it, it's going to allow them to work on their blocking and shedding blocks, because this is how you would practice this in a normal practice. You wouldn't run 50 yards and then go hit somebody. You'd put them 5 yards apart. You'd blow a whistle, and the guy on the kick return team would try to block the guy on the kickoff team. And it's a great way to work on that fundamental technique. And obviously you take the big hits out of it. I don't think rules try to avoid physicality. I mean, my goodness, I've never seen a spring game where the quarterbacks don't have green jerseys on. So once that I was enlightened by that knowledge, I actually like the XFL kickoff because it allows you to work on some of the fundamentals that are otherwise harder to work on a normal kickoff. Now, I want to chat more with VJack when he joins me next week. Okay, thank you for T. Farley for joining me today. I always love to learn more about the back end play, especially in like a 3-3-5 defense or something like that. So I enjoyed learning about the linebacker play today. But just real quick on the tight ends. All right. Eric Gilbert, Thomas Fedoni, couple of really talented individuals. Unfortunately, Gilbert had a couple of drops. Fedoni, I believe he did have one reception, and I know that Rule's been praising him all spring. We got a lot of talent in that room. We just need somebody to step up. So the tight end who actually, if I can find my notes here and read my own handwriting, I once got a C in handwriting in the 5th grade. That was a true story. The teacher actually was nervous my dad was going to be mad for a good reason. Anyways, walk on. I've worked on pronouncing this, so I hope I pronounce it correctly. Nate Borkesher led the tight ends in receptions and receiving yards, and he actually had the longest catch of the entire day. Okay, 38 yards on the opening drive from Jeff Sims. I don't care if you're the number 1 tight end recruiting class in the 2020 class, the number 1 or 2 a year or 2 later, ranked tight end recruiter, if you're a walk-on. We just need somebody to step up in that tight end room because there is a lot of talent in that room. Now, when you look at who started the game for the white team, for the black team as the quarterbacks, you had Jeff Sims on the white team. All right, you had Chubba Purdy on the red team, and then the next quarterbacks into the game were Richard Torres and Heinrich Harburg. And I thought Jeff Sims looked pretty good on the day. He looked good with his legs. He looked pretty good throwing the ball. He had by far the best completion percentage of any of the quarterbacks. It's clearly, at this point, anyways, things can change. It's clearly him or Casey Thompson right now, based on what I saw Saturday. And I know the coaches love Heinrich Harburg, big frame, big arm, much faster than people realize. Okay, and Richard Torres, he's the guy that I think has kind of been forgotten about since he got on campus. So don't forget about him. Chubba Purdy's still a talented guy. If he can start to slow things down mentally, he's the guy that could be in this conversation as one of the top backups. And I'm not saying one of these guys can't unseat Casey Thompson or Jeff Sims. But if you watched our team last year, it's pretty obvious Casey Thompson was the best quarterback. If you watched the spring game on Saturday and you followed spring ball at all throughout the past couple of months, it's pretty obvious Jeff Sims is the best healthy quarterback we have right now. So that starting job is most likely going to come down to Jeff and or Anthony. Casey Thompson. But who's going to be the next guy in line? And who's going to transfer out? There's going to be guys who transfer. There's going to be guys who leave. We have 6 scholarship quarterbacks right now. That'd be awesome if we had them all in the fall. We are a smidge over the 85 scholarship limit, so we got to make room somehow. And it would not surprise me if somebody tries to go somewhere else here in the next couple of weeks and see if they can't earn a spot on another team or maybe even a starting job somewhere else. Okay. We've had other guys do that. Tristan Gebbia went and did it at Oregon State for a while. Noah Vedral did it at Rutgers. You never know what can happen. And if somebody does that, I got nothing but love for him. Wish him nothing but the best. Like, we got some talented quarterbacks in that talented room. Matt Rule earlier this spring flat out said, most talented quarterback room he's ever been a part of, which is a heck of a thing to say because he's coached top 10 teams, especially down there in Baylor. Now, the white team was pretty much comprised of the first offense, and the red team, for the most part, was comprised of the first defense. I did feel like it's hard to know who's going to start day one in certain spots. Like I just talked about the quarterback spot, we don't know. The running back room is loaded. I know Rule loves Gabe Urban, but I mean, you got a guy like Ramir Johnson who carried the load for us a couple years ago when needed towards the end of the year. All right, you got Anthony Grant, who was the bell cow, so to speak, for a good portion of last year. All right, you got A.J. Allen, who's a young, talented guy back off of injury. You've got at least 4 running backs who could probably start for most teams in the Big Ten Conference or most teams across the country. So we'll see how this all shakes out when it comes to the running back room, when it comes to the quarterback room, and who ends up being here a month from now, a couple months from now, based on the transfer portal, who comes, who goes, things of that nature. Now, the next thing I wanted to chat about was the offensive line. The starting offensive line at the beginning of the game, as I saw it, okay, and you probably are aware, they wore different colored jerseys. I believe they were grayish, so to speak, so that if they needed, because they're a little bit short, a little bit banged up on that O-line, they could play for both teams. When Turner Corcoran went down, hopefully he is okay. When he went down kind of early into the game, or midway through the game, I should say, they started to happen to have offensive linemen play on the white and the red team. But the offensive, before I get into the offensive line, I was kind of starting to get into this and I got sidetracked a bit. I felt like the starting offense had the edge over the starting defense. I also did notice, or it seemed to me, and we don't know exactly who's going to start, and that's where I was going a minute ago before I had a random sidebar. I felt like the defensive potential starters were a little bit more dispersed across the two teams, whereas most of the guys who have at least the inner lane to starting on offense seem to all be put together on the white team. So maybe that gave the offense an advantage. But the first offense definitely moved the ball effectively against the first defense. And T. Farley talked about, when you're learning a scheme like the 3-3-5, it's not a scheme where you're just going to try to line up and beat people based on simple basics and fundamentals. You're trying to bring guys from everywhere and hide and disguise. And you're trying to create unblocked guys by mixing up your blitzes and stunning linemen and doing all these things. Well, that's going to take longer to put in. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit longer than a typical 4-3-3-4 defense. Now, excuses aside, the one offense definitely had the advantage over the one defense on Saturday. It was not really close. They moved the ball up and down the field. They scored on their first 3 possessions. I had a couple of field goals, and they scored a touchdown, converted the 2-point conversion, and it was 21-0. In fact, if I remember correctly, the red team's one touchdown was a fumble recovery taken back for a touchdown. And if you watched it, it really wasn't a fumble. So that was kind of a nice little gift they gave to the red team to avoid that little shutout there. But I felt like the one offense and Jeff Sims, I thought they looked pretty good. There's some ball security issues throughout the day on Saturday that pertained more to the red team than it did the white team, so to speak. I thought Jeff Sims looked good. When you come back to the offensive line, circle back to the O-line and who started and kind of how they looked, which is tough to gauge in a situation like this, because I felt like there was a lot of cross dogs, as we discussed up the middle as we discussed earlier, from blitzes up the middle, but there wasn't a whole lot of blitzes that were meant to confuse you, so to speak, just simply because it takes time to put such things in. They had blitzes, and they definitely blitzed more than most defenses are going to in a spring game. But I don't think they've got the full arsenal of blitzes that you're going to run a 3-3-5 defense in just yet. So the starting offensive line, as I saw, was Ben Scott, the center, transfer from Arizona State. He had a couple of pancakes that I saw. I honestly thought he played pretty well. He looked pretty good. At right tackle, you had Ben Hart. At right guard, you had Nadine Newilly. I was happy to see him back. I love the way he took ownership with what happened a year ago, made no excuses. He seems happy to be back, excited, elated. And he frankly would have been one of our better offensive linemen a year ago. I love that Rule's kind of sticking up for Raiola and sticking up for how the offensive line played last year. I mean, what do you expect him to do? And any coach who's going to back his players and with any class at all isn't going to come in and be like, yeah, the offensive line was bad last year. He's not going to say that, nor should he. The offensive line was not good. I mean, we all know that. I know what he's saying. I know what he's doing, and I love that he's taking that approach. And if I was him, that's the exact same thing I'd be doing as the coach, because that's how a coach should approach it. Have your players back. Have your coaches back. Don't go out there and be full of it, which Rule is not. But he's going to have their back. I haven't forgotten what I saw last year. The offensive line play was not good a year ago. But when you think about losing Teddy Prohaska early and Nadine Newilly before the season even starts, that's easily 2 of our 5 best offensive linemen. Maybe potentially our 2 best linemen from a year ago. I would have predicted them to be 2 of our 3 best, if not our 2 best a year ago. So that created challenges. But I remember how that O-line looked, and it was not good. And I was curious to see how they look Saturday and how they're going to play this year. So Ben Scott at center, Ben Hart at right tackle. And I'm curious about Ben Hart. This is a big, highly touted individual. His 3rd year starting. He's a young guy. He's had his ups and downs. But, it's about that time where most guys would start having the possibility of starting right now, because he started as a young guy. So can he kind of start to develop a little bit as a player? How is he going to handle some of the things that he's had to deal with the past as far as scrutiny? He seems to me to have handled that well as anybody's going to. And just random things that I've heard. I've never talked to him directly about it, but just things that I've heard about kind of his approach to it. All right, and how he views things. And so I'm curious to see how he bounces back. You look at left guard. We had Ethan Piper, and left tackle at the start of the game was Turner Corcoran. Now, I hope Turner's okay. He's a little bit banged up. Hopefully we get an injury update here soon. If we haven't already, I'm gonna check that after we get off the show. Then they started moving guys around. But I'm curious to see when Teddy's back, okay, how the offensive line looks, because I think he has absolutely should be expected to start. Got to earn a starting job in there as well. The offensive line, it was a little bit of up and down. I was hoping we'd run the ball a little bit more consistently, a little bit more effectively. There were spurts here and there. Jeff Sims can obviously make plays with his legs on a broken play. I didn't feel like any of the running backs really stood out. Obviously, there was 4 guys kind of splitting the carries, but part of that comes to, are there holes for you to run in? Okay, are there holes there? So I'm still looking to see more progress on the offensive line, especially if we want to be a physical, run the ball, put the fullback in the game type of team, and let's give him the ball. I love that first play of the game, giving the ball to the fullback and then giving it to Coach Solich. I loved that. They ran ISO week was one of their favorite plays, and that's where you line up in the eye and you run away from the tight end, and the fullback becomes your extra blocker to the weak side. And so I love that they got the fullback in the game. I'm curious to see how much they use them in the fall. I know it's going to be a part of their arsenal, but do not go anywhere. I've barely even touched my notes. We will be back here shortly, so don't go anywhere, folks.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. But now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction material. They sell in bulk to save you money, buying anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. They deliver anywhere, and if you mention you heard this ad on 93.7 The Ticket, they'll deliver in town for free through the month of April, with some restrictions applying. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info, or call 402-467-1627.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com. MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial or residential to agricultural storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to MWRbuildingandfence.com.
Mike Shaver here to tell you that Trek CBD has a new name, and it's Hemp Boss. It's the same product you've grown to love, just a new name. Spring sports are on the horizon, and Hemp Boss has a variety of products that help calm me down during games and on the golf course so I don't go over the top. And they have a variety of options for you to calm you down before, during, and after any event. Whether you're looking for drinkable Delta 8 seltzers, hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups for your beverages, or anything else, Hemp Boss has it all at 84th and the Internet. Hemp Boss, naturally healthy CBD.
Dana Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Dana Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Dana Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Dana Trucking. Learn more and apply today at danatrucking.com.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club, or space club, and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco basket. Grab the crew and head on over Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Despite an increase in cloud cover, we should see a beautiful afternoon with a high of around 68. Winds a little breezy out of the south at around 15 to 20. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of around 41. Will be slightly cooler tomorrow. Still breezy, southeast winds gusting over 20 with a high of 62. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Just a reminder, I forgot to mention this off the top of the show. The show is every Monday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Grab some food, grab your lunch, and come have lunch with me every Monday. All right, real quick, shout out GE Landscape and Supply. Check them out at gelandscapeandsupply.com. Also, more info at 402-467-1627. Now, I got a comment. I'm not going to disagree with the comment. I kind of alluded to it. Okay, I was trying to – the spring game is the most over-scrutinized and over-analyzed practice of the year. It's also the most exciting practice of the year. But I try to take everything with a grain of salt that I see in a spring game. But got a comment. Mr. Rod Rediker says, sorry, Adam, but outside the quarterback scrambles, the run blocking was just like the past years under Frost. Lousy with an exclamation point. All right. So I was kind of alluding to it. Yes, I would like to see it be better. There was not a lot of holes for the running back as much as you would like to see whoever the running back was. We have some talented backs. I love, and I know Rule does too, what Sims can do with his legs. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that quarterback battle when it's Casey Thompson and Jeff Sims in fall camp. Yes, we need to see more holes. We need to see bigger holes. That goes both ways when you're playing yourself, though. Did the defensive line play really well? Okay. Did the offensive line play really bad? Is it a combo of both? You never really know when it's your 15th practice as a team, together as a team ever under Matt Rule. So it's hard, and it is only your 12th practice with pads on because you have to have 3 non-padded practices out of the 15 that you get in spring. So it's a little challenging when you're playing yourself to truly gauge it. So I was alluding to that while trying to take everything I see like I normally do in a spring game with a grain of salt. All right. But I wanted to address that comment. So the next thing in my notes as we go along, all right, 3 lost fumbles in the first half. Okay, 4 total. And by the end of the game, I think if I round down here, there was about 84 fumbles. I'm joking, and it's a bad joke, and I apologize, and I take it back. Obviously, early on, ball security, you've got, in their defense, you've got quarterbacks taking snaps from different centers than they're used to in practice, sometimes handing the ball off to different running backs. A center that you might be used to working with, if you're a red quarterback, so to speak, might be on the white team. Or maybe you're used to handing the ball off to Gabe Irvin, you turn around, it's Anthony Grant. And so you don't quite have that synergy, which I'm not making excuses, but it's things that kids deal with in the spring. That being said, got to get better. Got to tidy that up a lot, not even a smidge, a lot. Now, I made a note here. With 7:10 left in the first half, I just wrote, have we even punted yet? The offense is clearly outplaying the defense. And this was alluding more to the white offense outplaying the red defense at that point. And frankly, the red offense was kind of getting their booties kicked a little bit by the white defense, but that's because the red offense kept putting the ball on the ground. Most of those fumbles were due to the red offense putting the ball on the ground, but I don't think we had a punt yet at this point. Now, we ultimately did try a couple of fake punts. Dude, I love Brian Buschini. If you follow him on Twitter, he's a good dude. He seems to be a good dude, good human being. I followed him a little bit at Montana before he transferred in. Great punter. My man's not going to shake a whole lot of people. He's not going to shake and bake a whole lot of people with his moves. So I like that we tried the fake punt. I like that we were aggressive. I like that we had some fun in the spring game. Brian, I love you, but if we do a fake punt in the fall, I want to see you. Can you throw the ball? Can we do a shovel pass? Can the personal protector catch a direct snap right to him and he run maybe? I don't know. Do something a little bit different. I like that we tried it in the spring game. Okay, didn't work either time. That's okay. You got to try stuff. Throw stuff against the wall, see what fits sometimes. All right, here's another note I had, and this was interesting to me because there was a spring where Callahan made us don knee braces as a D-line. I hated it with every fiber of my being. Now, the theory is you have offensive linemen wear them. Almost every team I've ever been on, the old linemen wear them. They don't have to move as much. Their space of play is a little bit more limited and smaller, so they don't have to be quite as nimble and as agile. And a lot of times they get ran into by a back. Somebody runs up on them from behind, and you're trying to avoid these knee injuries. So the one spring that we had to wear them as a D-line, I detested them. I hated them. D-linemen have to run farther. We have to be more explosive. I'm not disrespecting old linemen. It just is what it is. I once had a lineman at the Rams, Adam Goldberg, look at me and go, I could teach my Labrador Retriever to play D-line. See ball, get ball. He's not entirely wrong, but I also looked at him and said, I could be an old lineman. I'd just be a statue and stand there. Ha-ha. Just hit you with my hand. So it's a little bit of give and take, but my point is this. It was interesting. So at the end of the spring ball, our D-line coach looks at me and he goes, do you want to wear these things ever again? And I just gave him a death stare straight from the bowels of hell. And he goes, all right, consider them off, Adam. And we never had to wear them again. So thank God. But the offensive linemen are not wearing knee braces right now. So obviously there's a little bit more of a risk of injury, but even Jeremiah Searles, who was calling the game, mentioned, he said it allows you to move freer. It allows you to be a little bit more nimble and agile. And I'm going to talk here in a little bit about three things that Matt Rule's really trying to get better at. And one of that is mobility. And as a team, we've got some athletes. But if one of the things the O-line struggled with last year was they didn't move well as a unit. Okay, you got big dudes, you got highly recruited dudes, but they didn't move well as a unit. So maybe Matt Rule's trying to think to himself, hey, take some of these knee braces off and maybe we can get a little bit better movement out of these guys and they can be a little bit quicker. They don't have to run long distances, but within the area that they're playing, they are going against guys who are trying to explode off the ball and play as fast as they can on the other side of the line of scrimmage, especially if you got a screaming blitzing linebacker like a Terrell Farley or someone like that. So I thought that was interesting and mostly harkening back to my one spring where I had to wear knee braces and I did not like it at all. All right, the attendance, if you're not aware, was over 66,000. And it's interesting to me. Husker Nation is truly awesome. Now, I think we'd rather win a few more games than talk about spring game attendance less, but the passion is still there. And I found some interesting stats about attendance in Nebraska over the past 15, 20 years or so. By the way, random stat, Alabama had 58,710 folks at their spring game. I think they're winning plenty of games, so I don't think they're complaining. But Nebraska's average spring game attendance since 2004, 67,848 people in those games since 2004. In 2018 and 19, we had 86,818, 85,946. Okay, we actually led all of college football in attendance in both 2018 and 19 at those spring games. Now, it did dip down a year ago in 2022 to 54,357. When you consider that a dip down, you got a lot of people coming out to support your team. And, you know, we'd like a few more wins, but the support has not gone away. So that is awesome. And I thought those were cool stats, and I just wanted to share those real quick. Now, the defense did blitz a decent amount in the first half, but I couldn't help but notice, okay, not as much maybe as you want to in a 3-3-5, but they're getting there. I already talked about that. Now, at the end of the first half, when the offense was trying to score, I couldn't help but notice all of a sudden they were showing blitz and then they were dropping 8. So that's one of the things that I do like about the 3-3-5. You can come from everywhere. You can show from one side, then drop blitz from another. You can show like you're blitzing, then all of a sudden drop into 8 in certain situations, like when an offense is trying to move the ball down the field right before the half and get some points. So that was just kind of a cool note that stood out to me. The updated Herbie Husker. Got to address this real quick. He made his on-field debut. I've heard mostly positive feedback from fans. I would say 90% of the time it's been positive feedback. The one comment that did stick out to me, I forget who said it, so I'd love to give credit, but it escapes my memory. They said something about, the new Herbie kind of looks like he ate some more Christmas cookies than the previous one, which I didn't find completely inaccurate, just kind of, I don't know, humorsome. But I actually do, I do personally like the updated Herbie Husker. So you got to keep it fresh. You got to change things up every now and again. All right, halftime. Coach Solich is honored. Trev Alberts spoke, had some very kind words, gave Coach a plaque. It was very cool. And I call him Coach because he's the man who recruited me, him and George Darlington. He is the guy I committed to play for. He was the guy I played for the first couple of years at Nebraska. So he'll always be Coach Solich to me. Now, if you think about his time at Nebraska, obviously a fullback, played here, okay? Then 19 years as Tom Osborne's assistant. Then as a head coach, he had a record of 58-19 as a head coach. He was a 2-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, 1999 Big 12 Conference champion, and 1999 National Coach of the Year as well. Terry Keneally, all right, that image of him sacking Frank Costa at the end of the 95 Orange Bowl to essentially seal the victory, and he's standing up and he puts the finger in the air. That's what I always think of when I think of Terry Keneally from my childhood. Now, he announced that the new locker room in the new Husker facility is going to be named after Coach Solich. Coach had some great words, great, humble thank you speech, and you could tell he was truly touched by the fans. I thought that was very, very cool. And they brought Coach back and they honored him in that way. And I thought that was pretty cool. Now, in the first half, just kind of, and most of my thoughts are from the first half. A lot of times the second half of a spring game, and they didn't have a running clock. And they ran it like a normal game. There wasn't a whole lot of points scored in the second half. I don't believe any, if I remember correctly. I believe it was 21-7 at halftime, and that was the final score. 21 white team, 7 red team. So most of these stats are from the first half because that's when things stood out to me. Jeff Sims played well. I thought he threw the ball well. I thought he did some things with his legs. If he's our starting quarterback in the fall, I feel like we're in good hands. If it's Casey Thompson, I feel like we're in good hands. I feel like we are going to have a very good starting quarterback. I mean, Casey started at Texas and then started here. Jeff started at Georgia Tech and is trying to earn the starting job here. When you're a quarterback who started at multiple universities and then you're fighting for a job here, and you got 2 guys like that, that's pretty cool. And if somebody gets banged up, obviously we got a really good quarterback who can step in, whoever that will be. Wide receiver Billy Kemp stood out, made lots of catches, made lots of plays. The coaches have talked about him all spring. He is a guy to absolutely keep your eye on coming this fall. He's going to be a playmaker. All right. We do need more wide receivers to step up, though. No other wide receiver stood out to me. And I'm not saying nobody else made plays, but he's the one that stood out to me. And I was trying to think of a second guy, and I didn't think of a second guy that stood out to me. All right. First half overall, and you could kind of say this for the whole game as well, the offense moved the ball well into the red zone. They got to execute in the red zone better. You want to get more touchdowns, less field goals, so to speak. Okay, secure the ball better. I addressed the fumbles earlier, less field goals, less turnovers. I thought the offense overall looked good. You're always going to have things that you continue to work on once spring ball is over, going into the summer, going into fall camp. I thought the defensive line held up well. The defense as a whole has got to gel a little bit more, but I think the 3-3-5 is going to be indicative to taking a little bit more time to get to that point. Okay, that's just kind of how that defense works. Now, Matt Rule's 3 biggest areas that he wants to improve in. All right, I got about 90 seconds before we got a break, so I will cover as many as I can, as well as I can until the break, and then I will finish the remaining rules after the break, or the remaining things that Matt Rule wants to improve on. The first thing, and I talked about this earlier, he wants to improve strength and mobility. No more getting pushed around up front. He wants to be a physical team. He wants to be a blue-collar, in-your-face, smash-mouth type of team. Any team that plans on using a fullback, that's got to be in the mindset, okay? And I talked about the mobility. Again, the offensive line has struggled to move well in the past few years. Again, I think that's why they took the braces off. This is the first time since I left high school I've seen an offensive line without braces on. Well, if you're trying to get more movement out of your players, that's something better mobility, better movement out of the O-line. That's something you're obviously going to do with your strength and conditioning staff over the winter, over the summer, but you can also do it by trying to take away those braces that I love so much when I had to wear them for a whole 15 practices. Okay. The next thing, you know what? I want to take my time. I want to do this the right way. So we're going to head into our final break. All right. And then I'm going to chat about the last couple of things that are Matt Rule's 3 biggest areas to improve on. All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial or residential to agricultural storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
If you're interested in installing solar panels in Nebraska, there's a name you need to know. Solar by Alpine Electric is based out of Lincoln, and you can be sure your project will be handled with care and detail because Rick, the owner of Solar by Alpine Electric, will be involved in the entire process from start to finish. We're an REC Solar Certified Pro installer and handle jobs in Lincoln and the surrounding area. Let us show you real-time results in your area. Call Rick today at 402-440-4371. Solar by Alpine Electric.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and I'm protecting it now by staying up to date with the bivalent COVID vaccine. Get up to date while it's still free and stay protected. Learn more at healthylincoln.org.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're running out of time. It goes quickly each and every week here on Adam Carriker on the Ticket. Real quick, as always, shout out to GE Landscape and Supply.com. That's GE Landscape and Supply.com. Producer Rico has sent me a comment. I'm going to share it. He knew I would. All right. He said, new Herbie's cheek bumps bother me. Not a fan. For me, his face bothers me now. Haha, he doesn't like Herbie's face. It's those Christmas cookie cheeks. Not Rosie? No? Okay. All right. Let's get back to Matt Rule's 3 biggest areas that he wants to improve on. Already talked about he wants to improve strength and mobility as a team. Number 2, he wants to come together as a brotherhood. And that seems almost kind of like, well, duh. Well, we haven't truly had a culture. And I know it's that C word. It's the other C word. Okay. We haven't truly had a culture. And I think people are tired of hearing about that. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But if you truly build a culture of expectations and hard work and busting your rear end and expecting nothing, 100% nothing less than your absolute best from the guy next to you, that's how you come together as a brotherhood. And that's how you win some of those late avoid some of those late losses and win some of those games that we've lost that have been so close in the past few years and been heartbreaking. Number 3, live out the process. And to me, this is going to be a day-by-day process, literally day by day. And if you talk to Coach Rule, he talks about one day at a time, just this day, then the next day, then the next day, living out the process. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be roller coasters. There's going to be games we win that maybe we shouldn't, and games we lose that maybe we shouldn't. Hopefully there's less of those going forward in the future. But living out the process and understanding that it is a process and having the patience and the desire to go through that, okay? A lot of times the journey is even more enjoyable than the end result for those who are willing to take the journey, so to speak. All right. I looked at our potential backfield. and what it could look like. And I mentioned it earlier, load of quarterback room when it comes to talent. Same thing with running back room, whether it's Casey Thompson or whether it's Sims. Even Harburg is talented. Torres has a gun for an arm. Okay, and then you look at the running backs, guys who could start for several other teams. Gabe Irvin, Anthony Grant, okay, Ramir Johnson, A.J. Allen. We have got to block for them up front for the love of all that is holy. But the talent, you look at the tight end room. I've talked about this. Eric Gilbert, number 1 tight end in the country, top 5 recruit when he came out. Thomas Fedoni, we know how talented he is. Okay, I don't care. If a walk-on takes it, okay, Nate Borkashire, who led the tight ends in receptions on Saturday. I don't care. But we've got some talent and ability. Wide receivers, Billy Kemp. We need more guys to step up, and we're going to be using a fullback. I know that excites some Husker fans, but the potential for a dynamic backfield to be there with depth is there. But at the end of the day, football's still blocking and tackling. We got to block for them up front. Okay. Now, you start to look at the roster. Okay, on Saturday, 109 players rostered. With the incoming freshman at the moment, that would put us in 135, the expected incoming freshman. Okay, a little less than the 150, 160 carried by Frost. If you're efficient with your practices, you can have a larger number. If you want to have less, it can make it easier to be efficient with things. That's fine. I would anticipate, okay, give or take, probably 15 or so scholarship players transferring before the season starts. Obviously, we're going to add some walk-ons. They're being more selective with that. But I do believe we'll be down to that 85 scholarship limit. Maybe some guys, obviously, I believe some guys are going to go. Maybe some guys come in. If some guys do come in, Rule kind of alluded to not bringing in any transfer offensive linemen after the game. I wonder how much he's going to stick to that, because we could use more effectiveness up front, more depth up front, possibly. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. I'll probably talk more about the transfer portal and transfers as guys start to transfer out and potentially in as well. Now, here were my biggest questions. Again, I've talked about the talent on offense. I've talked about what I saw from the O-line, talked about the defense, the XFL kickoff. Did we ever see a true punt? Maybe that's why they faked the punt, because they didn't want to do a true punt and risk some of those big collisions. I don't know. To me, it was just fun to watch. Didn't go great as far as from an offensive perspective. But here are the questions that I'm left with. Okay, 4 of them following the spring game. Number 1, the offensive line's effectiveness and depth. What's that going to look like in the fall? Number 2, can we find another receiving threat? And this isn't just wide receivers. Ramir Johnson had a bunch of catches out of the backfield. But wide receivers, tight ends, whoever it may be. I watched Roy Halou set the Redskins receiving record, okay, in D.C. with 14 receptions on 14 checkdowns from Beck, who is our quarterback. And I think he still owns the record to this day for most receptions in one game. 14 from a running back. I love when running backs can catch the ball. We need down the field threats. Wide receivers, tight ends. Who's going to step up? Whether it's a wide receiver, tight end, a receiving threat outside of Billy Kemp. Who will emerge from the running back room? Yes, it's very talented, but who's going to emerge? And I didn't make excuses for the defense. I just called what I saw. The white offense kind of rolled the red defense, especially in the first half. I explained some of my thoughts on why that may or may not have happened, but should we be concerned about the starting defense? Okay. The starting offense moved the ball well. Is that per the offense or per the defense? Those are my 4 questions. Those are the 4 things I'm going to be keeping my eye on throughout the summer and going into fall camp. All right. Check you out. Check me out. Check the show out. Check something out. Next Monday at noon. Have lunch with me. Until then, go big, red, and always remember, go the Browns.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and I'm protecting it now by